I am the famous American. And here is a recent revelation that I've had. So, as you probably know, I am technically over half Hispanic, backed up by the DNA test results, which I made that video years ago here on this channel. I'm basically 53% Hispanic. On my mother's side, her mother was Mexican, and her father was an Italian immigrant, but the DNA test really points more to Sephardic Jewish. So when you look at it all there, technically I'm over half Hispanic. Now, in recent years, we can know something like that for sure, instead of just going off of what we're told. We can prove it. But imagine this, I'm about to turn 41 years old. So that means that I graduated high school in 1999. So my senior year, like 98, 99, when I was deciding where I would go to college and applying for scholarships, imagine had I realized, hey, I count as a minority here, so I can probably get some scholarships for college. I just didn't think about it. Now, not only because I didn't have a DNA test to back it up back then, but also because growing up, I was only acutely aware that I counted as a minority. What's really funny is, on my dad's side, supposedly we were Native American. Now that, once we took the DNA test, it proved that's actually not true. So I remember, even when I was a little kid, we had Native American class that you could go to if you could prove that you were Native American. Well, we didn't have any documentation to prove that, to back it up, so I couldn't even go to that. But what's funny is, growing up, that was supposedly the connection we had to being a minority. And it wasn't even true. Now granted, technically, yes, I am Native American on the Mexican side, Mayan, Aztec, etc., because people from Mexico tend to have that genetic background of having the Native American lineage for people who lived in that part of the world, along with Spanish and other European nations. But yeah, isn't it interesting? Had I known then, I could have probably got some good scholarships for counting as a minority because I was Hispanic. Now granted, here in the United States, people love to point out, but you don't speak Spanish. So I think that's interesting, because people in the United States will not perceive you as Hispanic if you don't look Hispanic. I mean, it's funny because people at work thought I was joking until I showed them the DNA test. People do not perceive me as Hispanic because I don't speak Spanish, and because, quote, I do not look Hispanic. Now, if you've watched the videos with my mother on here, you would not have any question about it. But looking at me, I specifically, quote, don't look Hispanic enough. And again, not speaking Spanish doesn't help anything. What's funny is, even my Mexican grandma did not speak Spanish. Her parents, when they moved here from Mexico, did not want her to speak Spanish in their home, only learn English and become acclimated to American culture. So there you go. Years later, I have to tell you that I'm of Hispanic descent for most people in the United States to ever even realize that. So, isn't that interesting? I guess I could have got some better scholarships had I identified as a minority, as Hispanic, back in 1998 and 1999. Do you have any thoughts or opinions or perspectives on that you would like to add? Well, you know where they belong, right here in the comments.